So about the water, because there is a little amount of water, we all the members of the family share a little amount of water. So my share was 500 millimeters for the whole day. And now while I'm shooting, a little kid took the water from my bag and just ran away. It's not stealing, he's in need, but now I don't have water until the end of the day. This is catastrophic. I don't know how do you read the problem, how do you read the situation, but today is 10 times worse than yesterday, 100 times worse than the first day. Okay, Gaza is collapsing.
With the help of the Almighty, my name is Rabbi Yisrael David Weiss from the Turei Karta International Jews United Against Zionism. I am speaking here from New York in the voice of my brothers and sisters in Al-Quds, in Jerusalem, who are suffering under the occupation, the Nakba, and we are crying and hurting with the detainees who are having a hunger strike presently in the prison camps of the illegal occupation, the Zionist state of Israel. From day one, our rabbis have opposed the existence of the state. From day one, we have pleaded with the United Nations that the Torah forbids us a state. From day one until today, we have thousands and hundreds of thousands demonstrating in Jerusalem and New York, and we are being murdered, we are being attacked, and we are being arrested in the Holy Land. We are being held as criminals because we oppose the existence. We cry and hurt for the suffering of the Palestinian people. Inshallah, God should bring a speedy end to the occupation in its entirety and a free Palestine. Assalamu alaikum.
I am a colonizer, and I am a decolonizer, and we are fighting! I have 48 attack helicopters, 2,200 tanks, 250 jet fighters, and 170,000 active military personnel. And I don't have food, water, electricity, or fuel. I have human rights, and I don't. I have hang gliders and bulldozers. I took their home. My home was taken. I'm backed by the world's greatest empire in human history, and I live in an open-air concentration camp. I'm in constant violation of international law and face no accountability ever. I'm recognized as the single greatest humanitarian crisis on Earth. I have completely encircled my enemy by land, air, and sea and have them hermetically sealed off from the rest of the world. And about half of my population of 2 million is children. I constantly violate ceasefire agreements, and I uphold ceasefire agreements until they're broken. Both sides are bad. I'm very smart.
The Israeli government have brazenly, publicly, and openly declared their intention to commit a war crime and have commenced that war crime against the people of Gaza, saying that they intend to starve of food, electricity, water, 2.2 million people. They are raining down thousands of the most sophisticated missiles known to humanity onto the most densely populated area in the world, carrying the certainty that almost every missile will incur civilian casualties. And you try to suggest there is some symmetry, some equivalence between the actions of Hamas and what Israel has been doing to the Palestinians for decades. And every single loss of life is terrible. But is the failure of the United States, of the European Union, of the Western powers to hold to account Israel for ongoing, decades-long ethnic cleansing, war crimes, crimes against humanity, the denial of the most basic rights to the Palestinian people.
Where the fuck is the international laws? Where the fuck is the human rights organizations? Where all this bullshit? Last night, my mom sent me a message asking me to forgive her if she ever did me wrong, which she never. And that she loves me so much and I love her so much, and it felt like a goodbye message. And when my friends and family have a little bit of internet, all they're asking for is forgiveness, and that we remember them, and that they are not numbers. They have no electricity, no fuel. Medical supplies are running out, and nobody's saying anything. And there's 24/7 bombings. The Israeli Defense Forces, literally, they are doing massacres. Massacres. Kids, women, elder people, and the rebels dying every minute almost. What the fuck?
I just got off a call with the US State Department emergency line. I genuinely don't know what else there is that we can do. I called them, and when I got on the line, they said, "Are you calling about the Israel crisis?" And I told them, "No, this is the Gaza crisis." To which they said, "Try to be polite, like you're being recorded." And then I was like, "Okay, can you tell me what we can do? Like, how can we stop this? My parents have no water, they have no electricity. There's 2 million people in Gaza that are living in constant fear, and that at this point we're not even asking for anything but to stop the bombing." To which she started reading a script, and she was mumbling. Clearly she does not know what is going on. Like, she was searching for the instructions, and I couldn't even make sense of the instructions. And I told her, "Okay, talk to me as a human. I'm not a robot, and my family is not a robot either. We're humans." At this point, people in Gaza are not even asking for a political solution. We're not even asking for aid or anything. We just want the bombing to stop. We lived under constant fear for so many days now. I'm paralyzed. I have not gone to work this whole time, and I know that my American coworkers are terrified for me, and they are terrified for my family and terrified for my people. I know that I and so many other Palestinians have gained the empathy of Americans, and Americans now know that this is not only a threat to Gazans or Palestinians, this is a threat to all of humanity, because if we can see genocide broadcast on live television and social media, and no power in the world is intervening to stop it, and the wounded's blood is drying up because they cannot be treated, then what message does this send about the life that we have and the type of world that we live in? Honestly, everyone should be disgusted. So then she actually was listening to me for 4 minutes without interrupting me, and my sister said it doesn't mean that she's gonna advocate for you guys, even though I asked her to advocate, to tell Americans about this and to have them stop the bloodshed, because it sends such an awful message to the entire world and about what it means to live in this world. I'm holding on to the last sliver of hope by hoping that this person actually felt empathy for me and for what's going on. But we need people to put more and more pressure. We're not even asking for any solutions. Just stop the bombings. Just stop them. They have been non-stop. Every minute a Palestinian is killed. They're taking out babies out of dead women's wombs.
Hi there. Did you recently make a video about Israel, Palestine, and Hamas where you said that terrorism is bad, which it is, but the Israeli government isn't good, which it is not, and there's a lot of gray area here that we should all be exploring, and now you're being inundated by death threats from Zionists? Then wow, you're just like me. I've been in this situation before, and there's two things that you can do. You can stop talking about the thing that got you into this situation and go back to telling stories about teaching kindergarten, which is fine, or you can talk about it way more, and I'm here to do the same. Get a couple things clear right off the bat before we start. Why do I have this tone talking about serious topics? Why are you being sarcastic? Why are you making jokes? Because I'm not an academic journal. I'm Maddie, and I teach kindergarten, and I hate ethnic cleansing. So that's the energy we have here. Secondly, if you enter this comment section and you say the word anti-Semitic, I'm going to know that you watch way too much Fox News. Equating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism is actually in itself pretty anti-Semitic, so knock that off right now. Let's get down to the brass tacks. I thought that I made this clear in my original video, but I forgot that the Venn diagram of people who use social media and have the listening comprehension skills of a thumb is is more or less a circle. Acts of terror committed by Hamas against the Israeli people are unconscionable and horrific. They are not justified by any type of political or historical context. This is where we run into trouble with the discourse, I find. In a lot of people's minds, if you are pro-Palestinian rights, you are also pro-Hamas, and that is not the case. I think you would be incredibly hard-pressed to find a person on earth who thinks that Hamas is just doing great work over there. Okay? Good guys fighting the good fight. No. There are, however, a lot of people, myself included, who think that Palestinian people should not have to live in an open-air prison in the Gaza Strip, which they were displaced to by a Zionist regime government run by a wannabe dictator. It's possible to think while also thinking that Israeli people, civilians, should not receive acts of terror. That's in fact what most people who hold pro-Palestinian viewpoints believe. It's also important to note that acknowledging the 7+ decades human rights struggle of the Palestinian people versus the exorbitantly more powerful, more influential, and better funded Israeli government does not detract from the historic and contemporary oppression and displacement of Jewish people. Both of those things can and in fact do exist in tandem. That's the type of nuance that I was saying people need to make room for in this. There are a lot of views way farther this way and way farther this way, and I'm not saying any of those. And maybe I hold some of them, but I'm not going to talk about it because it's polarizing. What's not polarizing is that Palestinian people deserve basic human rights, and Israeli people deserve to not have acts of terror committed against them. The statement, "I stand with Israel," when you mean that you stand against Hamas, holds a lot more cultural, political, and historical weight than you may realize, because the Israeli government is an extremist regime running an apartheid government, and that is not Israeli people's fault, but it is a fucking problem. And that's what I said originally, that's what I'm saying now. I have to go plan a phonics lesson on the letter S. Be blessed.
Israel has officially murdered over 1,200 Palestinians and injured 5,000 more. Are you going to condemn Hamas? This includes 7 Palestinian journalists, 4 medics, and 326 children. Are you going to condemn Hamas? Israel has officially cut off water, electricity, and fuel to Gaza. Are you going to condemn Hamas? My friend's family is now out of water. Are you going to condemn Hamas? Benjamin Netanyahu said to Palestinians in Gaza, "Flee while you can." They then went to the Rafah crossing, which borders Gaza and Egypt. Israel then bombed that crossing. Are you going to condemn Hamas? There is footage of Israelis peeing on dead Palestinian bodies. Are you going to condemn Hamas? Israel let the Red Crescent medical team enter areas to help the wounded, and as they got there, they were immediately targeted by Israeli airstrikes and murdered. Are you going to condemn Hamas? Palestinians in the West Bank are in a complete lockdown, and they are not permitted to go through any checkpoints. Are you going to condemn Hamas? Israel is now distributing weapons to settlers in the north. Are you going to condemn Hamas? There's a huge wave of propaganda going on right now, like the supposed murder of 40 Israeli babies that was proven to be false, or the raping of Israeli women that was also proven to be false. Are you going to condemn Hamas? As people who are not living under occupation, I do not think that it's anyone's job to comment on how people who have been under a 75-year illegal occupation and a 16-year blockade are resisting.
I'm gonna need everybody who hates Palestinians to stop calling us dogs. Because if we were dogs, then you would actually care about us. Especially the Palestinians living in Gaza right now who are being carpet bombed as we speak. Hundreds of children. What you're looking at is the aftermath of phosphorus bombs. That is an illegal war crime. The difference between your support for the Israeli government and what Palestinians and our supporters are calling for is that you are supporting the multi-billion-dollar actions of a government and its military force. We are calling for the humanity of millions of innocent people that whole factions of the world do not care about. And it's not just carelessness or apathy. It is an intentional dehumanization proclamation by government officials supported globally. They are calling Gazans animals when even animals are not treated this way. And if one person comments on this video with the word HAMAS and you're truly ignorant, like you have no idea what's going on and you're not just being a jerk, if the Israeli government has a problem with a militant force, They should go after that militant force, not millions of innocent civilians who are being carpet bombed with billions of dollars worth of weapons by both air and ground invasions. And if anybody wants to say, well, they started this, no, they didn't. In 1948, 750,000 plus Palestinians were forcibly and violently removed from their homeland. And since then, we have been dealing with displacement, ethnic cleansing. Gaza has been an open-air prison since 2005. And if you believe in human rights, then you should agree this is unacceptable. Remember where you were on these days in history. And shame on you for being silent while millions of people are living in fear as they have been every single day for the past 76 years. I'm not going to show any violent footage of what is happening in Gaza right now because I don't do that on my page. But if you need a visual aid to help you understand how bad it is, then go follow this photographer. He's on the ground right now. If you don't know what to do, make noise and educate the people around you. Every form of nonviolent resistance has been ignored. The opposition expects us to condemn all the civilian deaths, which I actively do, and I'm expecting the same. Why don't our civilian deaths matter?
So about the water, because there is a little amount of water, we all the members of the family share a little amount of water. So my share was 500 millimeters for the whole day. And now while I'm shooting, a little kid took the water from my bag and just ran away. It's not stealing, he's in need, but now I don't have water until the end of the day. This is catastrophic. I don't know how do you read the problem, how do you read the situation, but today is 10 times worse than yesterday, 100 times worse than the first day. Okay, Gaza is collapsing.